I guess I'd like to, hello, good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for coming tonight. I'd like to call the meeting to order and adopt the agenda. It is now May 11th at their planning meeting. It is 6 o'clock in the evening. It would be it resolved that the meeting be called to order and that the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Patrick moves it. Could I have a seconder? Councilor Kleiber seconds it. Any comments, questions?
Yes,
None?
Mayor,
Oh,
could
oh,
I add an item to in-camera RRPD update?
Okay,
If I may, could we address an addendum in item 3, please?
Okay, sure, we'll do that.
okay, can I have a, kind of call for the vote then, please?
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Any opposed? None? Carried. So I guess we're gonna carry on down. We're gonna have some opening remarks.
Nope,
If we
you're
could
gonna go
have the
addendums to
addendums?
the
Well,
agenda.
yes. It's not
You
down.
just bumped me down there.
Yes, no, okay. Go ahead.
I'd like to add to the agenda in Red River Planning update. We want to report back to council what council charged me to discuss at the board meeting.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councilor Shetty moves it. Could I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Councilor Campbell seconds. Could I have call for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any opposed? None? Carried? Okay, so now we'll go down to 5 point, goal number 4 for opening remarks. Council wishes to thank you for taking an interest in what is happening in your municipality by attending this evening. The purpose of this public hearing is to receive representation from the applicant and any persons who wish to make them concerning what is proposed. We will hear first from the applicant, then from those present who wish to make present representation, starting with anyone who wants to speak in favor of the proposal, followed by those who are opposed or object to the proposal. At the end of these other presentations, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond. If anyone intends to make a presentation for any of the hearings scheduled for this evening, please record your name and contact information on the appropriate sign in the sheet located at the desk as you enter the council chambers. Applicant must also sign in. If you haven't signed in, please do so now so that you have an opportunity to speak to council. So I'll ask if there's anyone that wants to sign in. None? You're good? Okay, thank you. Person speaking must address the chair. If they have any questions that they think the applicant should answer, they should raise them in their presentation to the chair. The applicant will have an opportunity to respond to questions when the other presentations are finished. If the hearing is not completed today, whether because we run out of time or further information is to be provided, then we will adjourn the hearing. If we adjourn the hearing, we'll tell you at this hearing the date of the continued public hearing. There will be no other notice given of that date. Even if all representations are completed today, we will not be making our decision today. Until our decision is made, there can be no further communication of any kind with council or members about the proposal. When council makes a decision, all persons who makes a representation at the hearing will be notified. So I will now go to 5.1.
Mr. Yeah, can I just read something, part of the opening remarks?
By all means, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to bring some awareness to an important issue. Today I'm wearing a moose hide in support of Moose Hide campaign, and today is May 11th. So just a bit of background, basically, is the Moose Hide campaign began as a BC-born, Indigenous-led grassroots movement to engage men and boys in ending violence towards women and children. It has since grown into a nationwide movement of Indigenous and non-Indigenous Canadians from local communities, First Nations, governments, schools, colleges, universities, police forces, and many other organizations, all committed to taking action to end this violence. Since the campaign began over 10 years ago along the Highway of Tears, thousands of communities and organizations across Canada have held Moose Hide campaign events and joined the annual Moose Hide Campaign Day ceremony and fast. People of all ages, genders, and backgrounds are invited to take part in Moose Hide campaign activities. The campaign is grounded in Indigenous ceremony and traditional ways of learning and healing. A cornerstone of Moose Hide campaign is the Moose Hide pin. Wearing the pin signifies your commitment to honor and respect and protect the women and children in your life, and to speak out against gender-based violence and domestic violence. To date, over 3 million moose hide pins have been distributed free of charge to communities, schools, and parks across Canada. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much for those remarks. We'll go to 5.1. Be it resolved that this meeting of council recess for the purpose of reconvening a public hearing pursuant to section 96A of the Planning Act. Could I have a motion, please? Can I call for a mover, please?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Paxton moves, Councilor Bichetti seconds. Any comments? None? Okay, can I call for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None? Carried. 5.1. The public hearing was held in the manner of variance order 3623 for the property located at 3rd Avenue River Planning District.
Mr. Mayor, I believe our planner would speak to this.
Okay, by all means.
So we received a communication from the applicant, and he wants the application adjourned till June 8 at 6 o'clock, June 8.
June 8th, 6 o'clock? Okay.
Yes. So council will have to make a motion
Okay,
to say that it's been adjourned to that date and time.
okay. Can I have a motion?
No, I want to ask you a
Okay,
question.
go ahead, by all means.
To the planner, through the chair, do we have a timeline on this?
No,
So we only have the timeline on the zoning bylaws and,
and subdivisions.
okay, that's fine then.
Okay. So can, I guess we make a motion then to,
Make the motion.
pardon?
I can make the motion.
By all means, go ahead.
I'd like to make the motion to move 5.1 to June 8th, 2023,
6 o'clock.
at 6 PM.
Okay.
Second the motion.
Okay, Councilor Cutler seconds. Any questions, comments?
Just a comment.
Go ahead,
Just,
Councilor Heck.
yeah, thanks for the, thanks for the update from the Red River Planning, and thanks for the motion. I assume the applicant's aware of it, and the applicant will be here. It'd be nice to see, when the applicant comes next month, that there'd be some renderings and drawings of the plan build-out of this subdivision and application. So I'd personally like to see that.
Yes.
Beyond what's in the application, which is not much.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Could I call for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None. Carried. Do we now go to 5.13? Okay. Whereas the application of variance 3623 was received for the property located on 3rd Avenue to reduce the minimum required. Is this right?
No, 5.2.
5.2, okay, that's what I thought, okay. Be it resolved that this meeting of council recessed for the purpose of holding a public hearing pursuant to subsection 105 of the Planning Act. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councilor Clyburn moves, can I have a seconder?
I'll second it, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor seconds it. All in, any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Carried.
Mayor,
Just, go ahead.
could you make the audience aware that only council is talking at this point and asking questions?
Okay,
And that the public, I guess I'll make them aware, the public will have an opportunity to speak when the public hearing section is on.
okay, so that would be. Oh, they can, okay, thank you, okay.
They can't hear us.
There are some seats closer if you wanted to move up. Yeah.
Who can't you hear?
This doesn't make sense.
Oh. Okay. Well, we'll try and talk louder.
Okay, this one. So this year, we've closed it, right, so now we gotta go to this one.
Do the microphones
this one,
not?
okay.
No, it's only for
No.
this.
Just goes to the
I
camera.
can turn off, but
It's
it might
probably
get a bit
It's probably
warm.
the mechanical system that's generating the noise.
Well, cooking here.
Yeah.
Oh, this one here, okay.
Might open the-
Okay.
Air conditioning, right?
I think mostly everybody's here for
Does that help?
the gun club hearing. So yeah, we haven't gotten to it yet, so we're getting to it right away.
Okay. Okay, be it resolved that this meeting of council recessed for the purpose of holding a public hearing pursuant to section
Did we just do that?
to address.
I think we just did that.
Yes, you do. Your public hearing is open,
Yep,
and
okay.
so the planner can
Okay,
provide
okay.
some remarks.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Council. The conditional use application this evening, CU 10, 2023. The location is 1201 Miller Road, roll number 231600. The intent is to construct a new indoor shooting range on the subject property. Gun clubs and shooting ranges are listed as a conditional use in the AAT agricultural zone. This is a conditional use table. It shows what the subject property is zoned, zone AAT, and in that zone, gun clubs and shooting ranges are conditional uses, and the applicant is asking for a new upgraded gun club facility on site. This is a zoning bylaw use table that shows that the subject site is falls under AAT, and that gun clubs and shooting ranges requires a conditional use approval from council. This is the subject site, the location that shows the site itself and the surrounding context. And this is the site plan submitted by the applicant. It shows the location of the new proposed indoor shooting range and the distances to the sight lines. And this is the proposed building and location in terms of height and length, and the location on the subject site. And this is the building interior layout as submitted by the applicant. For council's consideration, the Winnipeg Revolver and Pistol Association is a non-profit organization incorporated in 1939 in compliance with the province of Manitoba Attorney General's office. The shooting range moved to its location in the late 50s and early 60s. The applicant is requesting a new conditional use approval from council to construct a new indoor shooting range to replace the existing one. In 1993, the West St. Paul Council granted the organization a conditional use approval for the alteration of the existing facility. The entire shooting range area, including the proposed indoor range, is contained within the wooded portion of the site. See the next image. So this image shows the subject site itself and the area, the wooded area where the range and the proposed shooting range, indoor shooting range is going to be located. Still in continuation of for council's consideration, under the West St. Paul no shooting bylaw, the subject property 1201 Miller Road is exempted as per section 6.0 of that bylaw. And that section, it says that a portion of the land commonly known as 12.1 Miller Road and further outlined in the pink attached as Schedule A, hitherto shall not be subject to the provisions of section 3.0 herein. Also, the subject site is exempted from noise control bylaw as per section 4.10, the reason being that a permit had already been issued by the municipality for this use on site. And I have that section 4.0 from the noise control bylaw. RRPD is recommending that your council wishes to approve this application, that three conditions should be placed on the application. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is the applicant here?
Can we have questions to the planner?
Okay, okay,
Oh,
Go
Council
ahead.
wants to go first.
go ahead, Councilor
Yeah.
Kelly.
To the planner, could you tell me the date of these exemptions? And are these exemptions part of our
So-
current noise bylaw, or is this a special permit that was taken out at one point?
These are West St. Paul's bylaws.
So it's under our noise control bylaw?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that's,
So the second section, from the noise control bylaw, is from the noise control bylaw.
okay,
and
but
the
it says here 4.10, any activity which would otherwise be prohibited by this bylaw where a permit has been issued. What is the permit? Is the permit the conditional use?
No, the permit is maybe a business license from the RM or some sort of permit from the RM. I think.
And we issued a permit, and do you know the date of that permit? Does anybody? Administration?
I
Have
don't
we
have-
issued a permit to exempt them?
They would be exempt under our bylaw. I don't have a copy of the permit.
But we would have had to issue a permit for them to be exempt.
No. So it's automatic because of the way it's written. The moment a permit is being issued, then they are exempted under the noise control bylaw. So the permit here has to do with the use, more like a business license or maybe for a gun permit or something from the RM.
Okay, I'm not understanding this. Sorry, I'm lost. So, you're saying, when I look at the wording here on the noise bylaw, the shooting bylaw says, the only land that is not subject to the provision is 1201 Miller Road.
Yes,
And that's part of our no shooting bylaw.
exactly,
Okay. So we would have to change that if we didn't want it.
exactly.
Now, because we have a separate noise control bylaw, you're saying that the permit that we're talking about in this clause is the no shooting bylaw?
No. It could be maybe a business license permit for them to operate this business in this particular location.
Do we have business license permits?
No, so from an administration point, we would look at this as the use has been permitted,
Right?
and that's why the exemption would flow.
But we're not clear what permit has been issued?
The conditional use permit.
Oh, the conditional use?
So
this-
if we
okay.
change the conditional use permit today, then,
The exemption will not apply.
the exemption would not apply.
It depends on what your condition, if you.
Depends on what our conditions are.
Right, so the exemption would have to follow the conditions.
All right, so
Okay.
what I'm asking to the planner and to administration, if they would so choose to answer, is any conditions we place on here supersede any other previous conditions, is that correct?
Any other conditions on the previous conditional use?
Yes,
It
because
depends.
this is a new conditional use.
Yes, it depends if.
Then I can set different hours, I can set
Sure,
whatever
correct.
I would like to set on this conditional.
Correct.
Correct, thank you. All right, thank you.
Okay, anyone else have questions for the plan?
They were asked.
Pardon?
They were already asked. Thank
Okay,
you.
okay, thanks.
Right.
Go, Councillor Campbell, yes, go ahead.
So let's say through the mayor to the planner, let's say the applicant, we decide we're gonna change whatever, we wanna make implementations of stuff. Can then the applicant say, you're making too many changes, we'll just keep it as it is and keep the conditions as they are?
Yeah, that's another alternative. So for example, if it's rejected tonight, the applicant can begin to do what exactly is already there,
Okay.
maintain the status quo.
Okay, Councillor Clyber, go ahead.
Just to follow up what Councillor Campbell said, but if we approve the application and put new conditions in,
It stays.
they stay.
Yeah,
Right,
correct.
thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Okay. Could is the applicant here today?
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Peter Hildebrand. I'm with the Winnipeg Revolver Fiscal Association. I'm here as well with the president of the organization, Brandon Romick, over
Okay.
there. And I see Steve is in the back observing. He's with the association as well. Thank you very much for hearing us.
Thank you for coming.
So, information for the most part is already part of our application and the analysis of it by the planning board. I would like to simply mention that we are governed by the Federal Firearms Act, and that's inspected by the Chief Firearms Officer of Manitoba. So we are subject to considerable regulation as to the conduct of the activities on our property. We as I think we might have mentioned before, founded in 1919, bought the property in the 1950s, started construction of the building that we're talking about, the existing clubhouse and range building constructed in the 1960s. So it is more or less 60 years old by now, and as one might imagine, it has deteriorated a bit. It's gone downhill. It was originally built almost flat onto the ground, and the property does get water on it from time to time. The water does deteriorate some of the structure or the various parts of the building. This property that is situated on, or the shooting activities are a part of the red outlined area over there, maybe roughly 1/4 of our property. We have about 118 acres at the site, and the place where all of the shooting gets done is maybe 1/4 of that, and that's relevant in that the objective of A80 zoning is to promote agricultural use and try to maintain a property in compliance with or with agreement with generally the agricultural use of the property. And we don't anticipate any change with regards to any of that. We rent out most of the land to adjacent farmers for their use as agricultural uses. And we plan to continue to do that exactly as we are now. I think it was also mentioned that we are planning to replace the existing building that's there right now. It's got a number of problems after all of these years, and it could be improved by construction of a new building to replace it. We are not expanding our operation in that site or on the site. We are stable at about 260 to 280 memberships in our club. The damage that we've mentioned is water damage that occurs maybe once every 3 years because the site is relatively low. The entire property is relatively low, and you'll notice that all up and down McPhillips Street or McPhillips Road over there, Highway 8, that most spring time conditions feature some water on the land over there. The province of Manitoba is trying to address that. They have a project going to realign Miller Road with Highway 8 because it doesn't meet at 90 degrees right now. It meets at an acute angle, and they have a project underway to straighten out the place where Miller Road meets the highway. And along with that, they have indicated to us that they're planning a substantial reworking of the ditches system along that highway, and that would benefit our property, but also quite a few others on either side of the highway in that area, because other people have similar concerns to what we have. So I noticed one of the comments from the planners was that we ought to do a drainage plan for this property as part of conditional use approval, and I would just say let's hold off on that a little bit, because undoubtedly the province has already done a drainage plan before they're going to be digging deeper or otherwise affecting the ditches in that area. So when they do that, that will very likely address the drainage problems that are noted on our property every couple of years. So that's something that's already looked at. They may have a plan already that is available to you, I don't know, but in any event, they are going to have to do some sort of planning before they redo the ditches in that area. So that's one point that I was going to make. The advantages of the new building on the site would be to say it can be much more modern than the building that we've got right now. The building we've got right now is a wood frame building built basically right on the ground. And new construction materials would be, that we would likely use is something like cinder block, concrete, that sort of thing, which would be, would cut down the noise a bit if people are concerned about noise. There isn't much noise. I've been there many times, of course, and it's not very noisy, but a different type of construction would likely reduce that a bit. The maintenance is also likely to be easier and safer, and the removal of the lead in the building can be done in a much more modern way that would be more environmentally friendly and friendlier to the people that we employ to do it. The building is likely to be much more efficient heat-wise and ventilation-wise than we have right now. It was not designed with modern requirements in mind in terms of air movement and air exchange and so on. We've added those later, but they are relatively inefficient. It's expensive to heat this building and change the air all at the same time as frequently as we have to do. So we would like to improve on that and make something that's more modern. One final point I'd like to just throw in is that it's very likely that there will be a change in the assessment of the property with a different building on it. The municipality might see some benefit from that. So I'm available for any questions that anybody might have.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming out. So in 1993, you received a conditional use from the ORM.
That's right.
I'm just interested to know what kind of equipment you're using in terms of shooting, like handguns, and from 1993 until now, has there been any change?
No,
in terms of
relatively.
usage?
No, actually, that conditional use, if you go back and look at what was actually approved in 1993, it's essentially a pole barn. It's got nothing to do with the building that we're talking about here. We have kind of a line of shooting ranges on the property. The indoor range is over here, just off the side of the parking lot. The pole barn, if I will make that point, that's maybe 200 feet to the east of that, and it's just there to provide cover against rain from people that are participating there.
My question is on your whole club.
Yeah.
What type of firearms are you using, indoor and outdoor?
Indoor, we are limited as to the power of the firearms that we're using. We use 22. We use center fire handgun, and we use 22 rimfire rifles in the indoor range. On the outdoor range, we are approved for uses below that of the most powerful calibers, but we are allowed to use hunting rifles. Let's say, if we put it that way, center fire hunting rifles are approved for use on part of the outdoor range. But it's got nothing to do with this particular application, because on the indoor range we are using relatively lower powered handguns and rifles in there, because of course we have to stop the bullets pretty quickly and recover the spent bullets and recover them from the bottom of the trap area. On the outdoor range, the bullets are recovered in a large berm, and that soaks up their energy quite efficiently. So that's quite a different situation. But there's been no change in the use since 1993. The calibers are the same. The type of firearms are the same since then.
Okay. Okay, no, that's good. I appreciate you coming out. I think there'll be opportunities for people to speak both in favor and opposed to the application. And,
right.
Have you received any concerns from residents in the area about noise or anything like that in the past?
I'm not aware of complaints made directly to us, but we are compliant with the government regulations as to noise, and we are subject to the hours of use, and we post those on our outdoor range. The noise coming from the indoor range, I would say, could be improved by or reduced by the construction of a new building with different building materials than we have right now. So I think that would be, some of the concern might be addressed by doing that.
Okay, and then final question is, if you're approved to go ahead with the new building, are you decommissioning the older building? That is
our plan. We did not double our size, let's put it that way. We can't maintain two buildings or the same activity in two buildings where before we had one. Our membership is static over the years, and we don't anticipate any expansion really.
Okay, thank you. Those are all the questions I have for now.
Councilor Clyburn?
So you're decommissioning the building, are you demolishing the building, is it going up on the same site, like in the same area, or is it, you're just putting it in a completely different area in your new building?
Well, the new building that we're planning is beside, I think, one of the overheads there showed the location of the proposed building. We would like to have a bit of flexibility in terms of when do we have to build the new building, how soon do we have to take the old one down, because we need to overlap a bit the construction of something and the operation of the existing building, because otherwise we'd be putting our members out in the cold, so to speak. And we can use the existing building, let's say for storage or something like that, not for shooting, but for some other use than that. But right now we're planning to replace the use that we're having of one building with the use of the other building.
What noise mitigation are you putting in the new building? So for example, you said if the indoor range is noisy, so you're actually acquiescing that the indoor range can be noisy, right?
No, as I think I said, I've been outside, let's say even on the parking lot on the property, pretty close to it. It's not an objectionable level of noise. It's a farm tractor, something like that, periodically.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
It's not. I'm not admitting that there is excessive noise from it. I'm just saying that new construction materials are likely to be, because of insulation and the type of materials themselves, they're likely to be better than the thin 2x4 construction that we basically have right now. So
Well,
that's why I'm thinking it might be better.
That's kind of why I'm asking you that question. You're putting up a new building, you would have specifications as to.
We don't have them yet, though. You know, we have to. There's no point in drawing up elaborate plans, let's say, and then finding that we don't have approval, let's say. So we're going to have to apply for a building permit before we do anything.
Right,
So,
but if we give you conditional use, it won't come back, your building permit won't come back to council. So my question to you is, we have to have some kind of noise mitigation in that building, and we might put it in your conditions then, because you shouldn't have to hear a whole lot of noise coming out of an indoor range, I would think. I've shot at some indoor ranges, and St. Boniface, for example, there's not a bunch of noise coming out of that range that I know of.
I wouldn't
I've
say
shot in
that-
other ranges in other countries, and
Yeah.
it's completely different.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. I was the ward counselor for this ward, for your ward, for 4 years. I had numerous complaints about noise.
Okay.
And because you had a conditional use that went back so far, there was not a lot we could do. But you see the room is packed, and the reason that it's packed, I think, and they'll of course let themselves be known, is that they are dealing with a lot of noise. And I would like you, as these people come up and speak, to think about that, the three of you, you're all part of the gun range, that when you go out on your patio at night at 6 o'clock and there's gunfire until 9 o'clock at night, I don't know, your neighbors, how do you invite somebody over for supper with guns going off till 9 o'clock at night? What do you think about being woken up at Saturday morning by gunfire on your outdoor range? How do you feel about having somebody over on a barbecue on a Sunday evening and hearing gunfire as you're having your barbecue? there has to be, I understand that you're regulated, but I want you to think about the effect that you're having in the surrounding area. And as the ward counselor, I had many, many complaints.
I think a lot of those complaints were likely related to the outdoor range. I think you
Yeah.
might have mentioned them, not to the indoor range because it's so confined and it's away from the boundaries of the property. The outdoor range, I think, we've already put some restrictions on in terms of our range rules as to when you can shoot at the outdoor range.
What are those rules?
It is, do you know it offhand?
No earlier than 8 o'clock during the week, no earlier than 9 o'clock on weekends and holidays, and then stop before dusk.
And when does it end? What time does it end? You've got till 9 o'clock at night?
At dusk.
Okay. So when we look at, and this is what I was asking the planner earlier, when we look at the conditional use, we look at all of it too.
Right.
It's not just your building, it's how you're using the property.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I'll just let you know we've had lots of complaints.
Okay.
And so I'm certainly going to speak to that, and once we discuss it as council, and perhaps limit your outdoor range, because we're having so many complaints.
Okay.
We don't want to put you out of business, certainly that's not our goal, but we feel that I definitely feel it needs to be more reasonable, and it hasn't been reasonable on the outdoor range. And I think you'll hear from the residents on that as well. Let's just take it all in.
Okay.
Don't panic. Just take it all in.
I'm not generally subject to panic.
Okay, good.
That's-
All right,
that's
thank you very
fine.
much.
Yeah.
Council, Chair?
Yeah, just a couple of comments you made from your presentation. You're trying to tell us not to worry about your drainage plan, that MI's gonna be fixing it. MI's gonna be fixing the problems that they have in their own ditches that are to probably drain most of the people in this room. So you have to take care of your own property. This is the same as coming in for any other application that someone's building, that we ask for a drainage plan. There's no other conditions. You're doing the same thing as anyone that would be building a garage or something bigger in their backyard. You said there's special conditions for the outdoor range, but sorry, I didn't get your first name. The hours that he's saying are the same hours you have posted for the shooting range. That's just your open hours, so there's no special conditions for the outdoor range.
There's a limitation as to the calibers that you can use there, and as we already said, the hours of use. So those are conditions applicable to the outdoor range. We're mostly dealing here with the indoor range. And if I can maybe just back up to one thing that you were saying, the requirement for a drainage plan is, yes, it may be standard, but the situation in this case resulted from the building being built too low, quite frankly. It was built right on the ground. We have a house on that yard site too, which was built shortly after the indoor range. The house has a basement. It was built higher, a bit higher, and it doesn't have drainage problems. So I'm just saying that just building the new building 6 inches higher would probably take care of most of the concerns as to drainage. So even though the plan by the province is not yet complete, but we anticipate there have been information sessions and the like. So we believe that they will address it as they say they will. And I think that will take care of quite a bit of, at least the problems that we have noted on our property.
Okay, well, the drainage plan is a drainage plan. It has to be done. You might come up with the drainage plan, there's nothing that needs to be changed, or it could find problems. So I'm very adamant with that. I was surprised, like I said earlier, about the hours. It's the same hours you have posted. You said that you came up with the drawing of just the building. Well, this is basically the place that it should have come to us, showing buffering, berms, anything that you're trying to change. You're saying that it doesn't, you're not changing anything with the outdoor range. I think our job here at the table is looking at the entire project after things are gonna change. You know, weapons are changing, everything's changing, things are getting louder. I can't tell you, I've done the shotgun and that's about it. But right now, you're showing us a building, there's nothing in there that's showing us what you're doing around the property. Are you putting up mud berms to, dissipate sound? Are you, fencing, trees, anything that's gonna mitigate any of the other sound around the existing parts that are already there? We have to look at it as a full picture. You're talking about taking the old building down, putting this one up. As far as I'm concerned, you're changing the whole layout of this, and it could bring in more people. So bringing in more people, I gotta look at the whole picture of it. That's the way I'm gonna be looking at it. And I thought there would be more restrictions to the outdoor range, because I'm gonna concur with Councillor Kleiber. I wouldn't wanna wake up on a weekend in the morning hearing to gunshots, It's just not right. I'd like to see more restrictions on the outdoor, and more maybe for special events. And some of the caliber stuff, yeah, we gave you a conditional use for the noise bylaw, but we don't set the regulations of what we know you're shooting there. So I don't understand why we gave the noise bylaw continuously through it. It says something about special events. I would look at it for that, but the noise bylaw should be all around, because people live there. So that's all I have to say.
Councillor Kent?
I just have a few comments, nothing too crazy. So from your property line, I can see there is a house to the west. How close?
The house is actually to the east of the existing property. Oh, yeah, the neighbor, I
Yeah,
see.
the neighbor.
You don't see it on that picture.
No, I'm wondering, maybe it's just in my package. I'm just curious if the planner can tell us how close that house. Yeah.
That's to the west.
Yeah, that's what I said, to the west.
It's 380 feet.
380 feet. I'm just curious, they don't have to get up. Is that resident here tonight? Okay. That would be one thing that I'd be looking at is, I don't shoot guns myself. I have a couple times, but I would think that one of the biggest things is trying to mitigate sound, right? So is there, to the western part of your property, do you have a berm there, or lots of trees, or?
Yeah, both of those things. There is a berm there already from the building you see quite on the left of the picture there. That's a shooting range number 5, as we call it.
Hold on a second. Mr. Planner, can you go to the one that has the dotted line drawing around it that shows Miller Road and then the adjacent property, please?
Okay.
That one, but if you can blow it up, please.
I need to go out.
Oops. Does he not have the same one? He's going to. It's not that big clear. Okay. Yep, that's really good.
There we go.
Okay, on the center of the picture, lower center of the picture, that's range 5 over there. There's a berm to the left of that. That's right, that one there.
How big is that berm?
Oh, it's 15 meters. No,
No,
sorry.
for height, sorry.
What is it, 8 meters, something like it?
It's 24 feet tall? Okay.
It changes, but it was there, and there are trees beyond that, and then the section that looks green there right now, that's probably the hydro property. The hydro has a property that's it's farmland basically.
Yeah.
A couple of hydro lines down that, and then to the left of that is the nearest house.
Okay, and what about the berm at the back of the property? Is it also 6 feet? the 30 feet tall at the back?
That's not correct. And the side berm's not 6 feet, because I'm 6'3", I can't see over them, yeah, like this to see it,
So it's 8 feet.
get measurement.
Okay, yeah, that's unfortunate we don't have those numbers.
Okay.
I think that's about it.
I guess, I think I want to just clarify something here. I don't know so much if it's the noise, but I think it's the more the repetition. I live on Miller Road, and I live down by the railroad tracks. And if anything, I can hear the noise down there, but it's, what annoys me the most is the repetition that goes on. It sounds like there is semi-automatic weapons being fired, that there's so much, that there's rapid fire. So I'm not too sure. You mentioned some type of rifles. I don't understand rifles, but it does sound like there's the amount of shooting that's going on there is rapid assault-style weapons, and I do know that the police department goes out to your place because they've driven down my end of Miller Road and asked me where your club was, and they say they're from the police department. So I'm thinking they're using your site as a shooting range.
That's
for
correct.
practice, right?
Yes.
So are they part of your 260 members, or is that additional? No.
No, they are contractors, I guess you'd say. They are renters of the property for certain periods of time.
Okay. So I think that's, I don't live right next door to it, but, you know, it's not a loud, it's not a soft sound that you hear. It's a noise that's noticeable, you know, and it does sound like it's a gun. So I just want to clarify that.
Okay.
I don't know what your decibel levels are, but it is the noise that. So, and when it comes to land in that area for drainage, I'll just tell you from my own experiences is that if you think 6 inches is going to do it, go another 6 inches and be safe, because that is low-lying land. It
Sure
is
it is.
flooded. You know, I've traveled that road for 40 years. I've gone by it, and that is the side that always gets flooded. And there's land. The field is underwater for 2 months of the year, and I would imagine that goes back to your place too. Is that there's
Sure, it's there, no doubt.
Yeah, so-
It needs to be addressed, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
and you're not going to get away from it. The only way to do it is to raise the property.
That's right.
Wherever you are. So.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. And that is it. So I guess, that's, anyone else have any questions further? Not? Okay, I guess could we hear now from the people that are for the, how many are there? Do you know?
4, we just have Mr. Gillibrand and Mr. Brandon Woodridge, if you would like to add anything additional.
No? Okay.
In opposition, we have Heather Lewis,
Can you sort of just give me an idea how many people there are in opposition, roughly? You don't have to.
about 20 or so, give or take.
Okay, go ahead. So for those 20, I'm gonna just ask you to be as brief as possible. Like, try to make it less than a minute, because, you know, if you all talk 3 minutes, we're gonna be here for an hour, and I guess we all have things to do, so just be considerate of it. Those that already have made a point, and someone else comes up and wants to make the same point, just say that you reference the point that has already been made. We don't need to hear the same point over, like we understand it the first time. If we got any questions, we can ask. So I just ask you to bear that in mind and just keep it as brief as possible. So can we have go ahead, Councilor Clyde?
Mayor, I'm just gonna say, I don't think I could get anything done in under a minute, so I hope we can give them a little bit of leeway. The applicants had quite a bit of time,
Yeah.
so if we could be a little bit flexible as well. We don't want a 10-minute barrage, but we do want to hear them, right?
No, I know, and I understand that, and I was just using the minute as an example, that if all
Okay.
20 speak and they all talk a minute, it's 20 minutes. If they
Yeah.
all talk 10 minutes, it's gonna be 200 minutes, so that's why. So I guess we'll have the first applicant, the first one that is opposed to it, come up forward.
Heather Lewis.
Heather Lewis, yes, go ahead, come up.
My husband and I come up.
Yes, by all means.
Thank you.
Yes. So we just need both your names and your address.
Heather and Ron Lewick, 1377 Miller Road. Okay,
Yeah.
mine's a little bit longer than a minute, but if you could
Yeah.
indulge me
Yeah,
because
no,
I
that's
live
all right.
next door.
Yeah.
Thank you. My husband and I have lived in our home in West St. Paul for over 22 years. We are the closest residents to the gun club. We did our homework before we made the biggest purchase of our lives. Having a gun range next door was a concern. We spoke with the neighbors, called the RM, and generally did our homework. We made the decision to live beside a gun range. It is not uncommon for someone to tell us that since we bought our home, knowing the gun range was next door, that we can't complain about the noise. For the first 14 years, the noise from the gun range was as expected for a small member-based club. We didn't complain about it. The gun club that we chose to live beside no longer exists. In the spring of 2016, everything changed. Suddenly, it sounded like a war zone. The following was recently recorded in our driveway at 10:30 a.m. Along with the rapid gunfire, there were other noises, sirens, shouting from bullhorns, whistles blowing, not occasionally, but several days a week, week after week, at different times of the year. We noticed many RCMP vehicles and uniformed officers in the yard next door while this noise was going on. We inquired at the range and were told the decreased noise was temporary because the RCMP range had asbestos and had to be abated. We now know the RCMP were required to move from their former range due to lead contamination that was determined after a whistleblower came forward. The information's in your info package. When the nuisance noise continued the following summer, we again inquired next door and were told a contract with the RCMP had been signed and was a great relief to the WRPA due to the injection of cash. As stated in the Winnipeg Revolver and Pistol Association website, rental income is important to the bottom line of the club. The smaller member-based not-for-profit club had become a major law enforcement training center. Inquiries to the West St. Paul bylaw officer were met with a shrug and there's nothing I can do attitude. It was like, they've always been there. What do you want me to do about it? Until recently, we were not aware of how far this nuisance noise was traveling throughout our community, literally miles in all directions. So many residents of West St. Paul impacted so that a small group of non-residents can operate a business under the guise of a small member-based club. As stated by council in a recent council meeting, the community vision for RRM is wonderful West St. Paul is the most desirable municipality in Manitoba to live, work, and play. Our community mission is for a beautiful, family-oriented community. How did the current operations and future plans at the WRPA fit into our West St. Paul vision and mission? Please also keep in mind that in 1958, when the WRPA moved to our municipality, the population of West St. Paul was approximately 1,500 residents, and we currently sit at 6,600 in 2023. Noise nuisance is defined in our West St. Paul bylaws as any loud, unnecessary or unusual sound, or any sound whatsoever which either annoys, disturbs, injures, endangers, or distracts from the comfort, repose, health, peace, or safety of any person. Firearms are not allowed under the noise nuisance bylaw, and the WRPA is not exempt from this bylaw either. Before voting on this application, we request council officially investigate the noise nuisance created by the WRPA, including a full acoustical study. Similar to the information on the WRPA website, the current application states occasionally rented to various public agencies for training purposes. We believe the WRPA is being deliberately misleading. The West Rifle Range is booked from May 8th to July 1st of 2023 for 8 out of the 9 weeks available according to their website. How is this occasional? Before voting on this application, we request council investigates the use of the WRPA as a law enforcement training center. We request that a revised conditional use includes specific rules regarding this aspect of the gun range. As previously discussed in this meeting, currently shooting goes on from 8 a.m. to dusk on all weekdays and 9 a.m. to dusk on weekends. Before voting on this application, we request the RM includes a stipulation to restrict hours and days of operation. I'd like to leave you with a few examples of changes and decisions that have been made at outdoor ranges in Canada. The info is included in the package provided to council. Pitt Meadows BC Gun Club.
are limited to shooting on Sundays from 10 to 4 and on Wednesday evenings from 6 to 9. Shooting is not permitted outside of these hours. In Eastern Ontario, an application to reopen was submitted in October 22 and was just denied last month. Noise was the biggest concern for area residents. The closest residence was 840 meters away in this example. Our property line is 80 meters away from the West Rifle Range. The BC Wildlife Federation conducted a study in 2016 and as a result recommended that decibel levels at the property line of a gun range not exceed 65. We have documentation at our property line of 81.7 decibels taken just last week. The same BC Wildlife Federation found the following. It is within a citizen's legal right to move into the proximity of an existing shooting range and file complaints regarding noise or other environmental issues. This has and will continue to jeopardize the future of outdoor ranges unless preventative action is taken. It is important for ranges to comply not only with legal requirements, but also to remain in good standing with their neighbors. Ranges must accommodate themselves to their changing neighborhoods, and their pre-existence is simply not enough. Thank you. Ron has something.
As my wife has already stated, we collected information about the range before purchasing our property. Gathering information was limited before everything was online. The name Revolver and Pistol Association makes you believe it is such, but this is not true. The name of this association is misleading on its face. A lot has been made from the fact that the gun range has been there for a long time, and it has, 65 years. That's 65 years of lead contamination in the soil, as well as carcinogenic hydrocarbons and various other byproducts of outdoor shooting. Please refer to your info package for the lead pole at outdoor ranges. We are opposed to this application until the noise and environmental safety issues have been addressed. The expansion of this club will ultimately affect the safety and quality of life of current and future residents of West St. Paul. It's all related. Lead can contaminate soil, surface water, and groundwater. Not only the bullets, but also the lead dust from the shooting process. The carcinogenic hydrocarbons from clay targets can pollute the soil. How much of this has leaked into our water system? How far can the contamination throughout the community go? There are no provincial or federal regulations regarding outdoor gun ranges and the environmental impact they have. That is up to the municipal council to govern. The WRPA has been able to avoid addressing this issue because of the neglect of past councils to recognize the potential dangers. Does the WRPA currently have an environmental stewardship plan in place? Have they ever, in their 65 years, had such a plan in place? We request the council create a requirement for the WRPA to have a full, robust environmental stewardship plan, including a site assessment to identify all concerns, development of mitigation plan, and schedule of finally implementation schedule for remediation. We further request that the council engage both the provincial and federal agencies that oversee these types of environmental issues. Completion of this task would go a long way to minimize the negative impact on the environment caused by the WRPA. Gun ranges in Canada are taking steps necessary to become recognized as a good member of the community and steward of the environment. For example, the Pitt Meadows Gun Club in BC formed an environmental committee to manage environmental stewardship for the club. See council's package. We request that all noise and environmental safety issues be fully addressed before council votes on this application. We ask that a full Phase 2 environmental site assessment be completed on the WRPA property at the expense of the WRPA. The taxpayers of West St. Paul should not be burdened with the cost of an environmental cleanup. A remediation of lead at an outdoor range in Edmonton in 2008 came in at a cost of $3.4 million. That range was only around for 30 years. See council package. This begs to ask the question, could the cost of a full remediation exceed the value of the property? The RM and province may then be responsible for the remediation. The WRPA must begin a stewardship plan and repair the environmental damage to the property before any expansion is approved. We are asking this council to be the one who finally amends the conditional use of the WRP to stop allowing this business from exploiting our community. What are the conditions in their conditional use? We have asked this municipality numerous times over the years, only to be met with confusion, and I'll look into it answers. Does the conditional use allow the range to become a law enforcement facility? Can they also become an armored guard training facility or possibly a Las Vegas gun rental range where people can try automatic or semi-automatic rifles for a fee? Is this possibly a conditional use? From the WRP's own website, we are a not-for-profit, volunteer-run club. We occasionally rent our facility to law enforcement. Rental income is very important to the bottom line of the club. Since moving to West St. Paul, we have seen improvements in roads, garbage and recycling pickup, wastewater systems, and internet access. Seems everything is growing and progressing, but the WRPA is regressing the RM. It no longer fits in the community. This gun range will only impede West St. Paul's growth and prosperity. Possibly the days of an outdoor gun range in West St. Paul are numbered. Like the move from Dawson Road in 1958, due to the expansion of Winnipeg, it may be time for the club to clean up these environmental mistakes they've created and move on. Thank you.
Council, any questions? Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead.
I would like to know what you would think, if we left the outdoor range open, what you think would be acceptable for an outdoor range hours.
I'd have to think about it.
You can't come back up again, so.
No, I get it.
Think
I know.
quickly.
There's so much lead there, like we're testing our water all the time now. The Starins are testing their water too. And there's no mitigation, they're not trying to do anything, they're not the
So-
person who was speaking before, they've never touched those berms. The outdoor berms, they're talking about the lead inside, but they've never touched outside. They've never attempted to touch it.
What about the noise?
Unbelievable.
Okay, what would be, in your opinion, because you live beside it, what would you be able to live with?
2 weekdays and Saturday afternoons.
So
Noon to
you're
6.
okay with Saturdays?
Noon to 6, not before noon. We've
Like I said,
we've
we gotta
had
talk
them
about it.
we've had them shooting before 9 and had to go over there and say, do you know you're breaking the bylaw? And it was cops doing it. It was the RCMP.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the RCMP also, that shooting, that clip I gave you, that goes on the weekend as well. That can go on any time because if it rains, they postpone it. So they'll shoot on a
that's-
Saturday or a Sunday as well.
That's what everybody hears is the RCMP. That's what you're hearing. The repeated gunfire, that's the RCMP.
No, it sounded just like it.
Yeah.
That was the level of noise that I get at my house.
Yeah.
Is that
And
type.
you're
But-
quite a ways away.
Yeah, and you know what, it depends on the wind too,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
Not for
if-
us.
No, I know that, I understand that, but for me, if the wind is blowing from the west,
Mm.
you know, you hear it, if it's blowing from the east, then it.
But like she said, it changed in 2016.
Yeah.
It was just a normal club, basically.
Yep.
And
That's when
then,
everything changed.
Okay. Okay, go
All right.
ahead, Councilor Bichetti?
The clip kinda, yeah, I don't live close to there, so I'm sorry, I don't, like, I've driven by, but there's not been a lot of noise when I've gone by, but that really, what I think got me thinking, and I was reading some of the clips in here, is the lead poisoning. If you look at it over the years, you know, I hunted when I was a kid with my dad, and you just look at how much the shells have changed just to go goose hunting, you know? Like there's regulations with the lead shells to steel. So, that's really concerning me is the nobody's testing that there's no regulations. They say they're regulated, but they're regulated on what they can shoot, but nobody's there regulating the aftermath of it, so.
Everybody has wells in that area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I have the next applicant, the next, very registered, thank you.
Yes, we have S. Carter Lowe.
That's
Registered
correct.
again.
Yeah, coming up.
Did you want to speak?
You don't have to, like, if you're saying the same thing, you can just say that you agree with them, so.
And see if you're opposed or.
I just want to say that,
Oh, name and address.
Your name and address.
oh, sorry, Sheila Carter Lowen, 376 Fulsher Road.
Okay.
I do hear it on our property. We're further away
Yeah, to the north.
to the north.
Yeah.
My concern is environmental. They've already stated that. I'm glad they brought it up. I'm also thinking about, in my background, it's architecture and design. I'm thinking about the cost to do a building that they're suggesting that would be accommodate what they'd like to accommodate. So it'd be whoever the designer is going to be or the architect is going to be, there's a cost factor in that actual building. And I don't know how I know they are nonprofit, but there's a reality there to actually, if you approve this, creating a building that satisfies all the requirements that have come up. I just want to say that in terms of.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Noble?
My name's Robert Knoll. I live on 1471 Northumberland Road. I have an email here from Pam Elias. When I asked about how this was going to go down, she said I was given 10 minutes. So I'd like to take 10. If I read really fast, I can do it in 10. If I read so you can understand me, I can do it. Okay. So I'm sorry I'm going to motor through this. Mayor, councillors, residents of West St. Paul, in order to know where you are headed, it's always good to reflect on the past, to learn from your mistakes, and to celebrate strong foundations built along the way. So hang on. I only have 10 minutes. Don't go Jerry Springer on me until my time is up. I'm going to give you a lot of facts and numbers. Sound travels at 1,235 kilometers a second. Flat terrain, such as our prairies, provide excellent conditions for travel. Sound with high energy can travel several kilometers. My backyard is approximately 40 dB on a beautiful sunny summer day. A conversation is approximately 55 dB. Workplace health and safety require hearing protection at 80 dB. A concert or nightclub is approximately 110 dB. A pistol, Colt 45, or a typical .22 caliber rifle used on ranges is approximately 140 dB. A law enforcement high caliber weapon can be well over 160 dB. In 1990, I became a resident of West St. Paul. I and my neighbors lived just over 1 kilometer from the gun range. The gun range was never an issue at that time. In 1993, council approved the gun club's application to expand and provided a conditional use permit. The conditions tied to the 1993 conditional use permit did not include any limit to the gun club's operations. From the Manitoba Ombudsman, the conditions were: applicant to obtain a building permit prior to construction. This was in 1993. Approval shall expire if not acted within 12 months of making. And that is all the conditions. The following exemptions were granted at the same time to long-standing bylaws: no shooting bylaw, 1999/11, and the noise bylaw, 2006-05. The RM states that it has no authority over operational matters of the gun club, including modifying the hours of operation and types of firearms used. They cannot impose restrictions on the gun club. What does this mean? The gun club is not breaking any bylaws, as they are exempt. This also means all complaints submitted to the RM are not recorded. Why is this important? The chief firearms officer works under the RCMP. Every 5 years, the gun range and municipality must submit documentation to show they are in compliance with range safety and municipal bylaws. The chief firearms officer responsibility does not include anything outside of the range, as that responsibility falls under the municipality and its bylaws. Despite your complaints over the years to the municipality on noise emanating from the range, the municipality supplies the chief firearms officer with a letter stating the gun range is in compliance with all bylaws. Why? Because they are exempt, and as such, not breaking any noise bylaws that are actually there to protect us. Council has effectively removed any public input to process and ongoing issues. This first recording is in my backyard. It's about 40 dB. Relaxing, isn't it? The remainder that I will play out for this duration of my presentation is also my backyard.
Can you turn it up, please? Is that as high as it goes?
That's as loud as that old puppy goes.
Okay.
That'll run for about 2 minutes. That sound is approaching 80 dB. How can that be? In 2011, the gun club contracted with the Winnipeg Police Service and the RCMP to use space as a practice range. The poor attempt at sound mitigation in 1993 is not capable of containing today's high caliber weapons used by the same law enforcement. Secondly, the inadequate, antiquated design of the range, having 6-foot berms only on the east and west sides, and the shooters firing south to north, allows for free and unencumbered travel of 160 dB sound levels directly out of the south frontage, access road, and parking lots, slamming into the residents' properties. They have created the perfect alley for gunfire to escape the property at an incredible level. One person firing a gun affects the quality of life of 50 or more. I have an excerpt from the RCMP Shooting Ranges and Sound PDF. Sudden or unexpected noise can evoke a startle reflex where the body is prepared for flight or fight. The body normally returns to the pre-exposure condition over a period of a few minutes. However, it is suggested that sustained or repeated exposure could lead to persistent changes in neurophysiological, endocrine, sensory, digestive, and cardiovascular system, which in turn could cause deterioration of one's health. In hindsight, the municipality likes to mention the Pan Am Games as the reason for the 1993 permit. This was a 2-week event. This is 30 years later. Why were there no impact studies conducted at the time or ongoing, be they environmental, social quality of life, housing prices, or residential expansion? How does the community benefit from having the club, and how does the club benefit the community? It's a self-serve operation with little employment. What percentage of members actually are residents of West St. Paul? Is the municipality just convenient to those who want to take part in the sport, who drive in from the city or other municipalities? Is it a sports center or a training facility? Let's look at the latest proposal before us. Once again, no mention of impact studies, no mention on effects to wildlife, no mention of anticipated sound emanation or levels from new operation, no mention of structural sound containment, no noise management guideline documentation, no mention of hours operation, which are currently 8 a.m. till dusk, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, except for a couple holidays. No mention of additional parking creating additional sound control issues. No detail of building construction concerning sound containment. No mention of monitoring operations. When did the gun range change? This is a separate. When did the gun range change from a club to an association? This has implications moving forward. The submission mentions both. There. Section 411.2, compatibility with the surrounding land uses and activities. One line. Section 411.4, the potential for adverse effects on surface and groundwater, air quality, noise levels, and other characteristics important to the region. It's great it's mentioned, but it's 2 lines. The applicant stated the new building will be more accessible to everyone, make maintenance easier, incorporate new building technology, and use a concrete envelope which is safer and easier to maintain. Where is the detail? Where are the design goals and targets? Where are the anticipated sound emissions? Does the building have windows that can open, releasing noise? Are there access ways such that sound will be controlled when the doors are opened? Will ventilation be soundproof? Will a professional acoustic engineer be employed to ensure proper sound control methods are built into the design? It is noted the subject site is surrounded to the northeast and south by vacant agricultural land. So then, all the homes on Northumberland Road West and those along the number 8 highway, which are on the same piece of land mentioned as south vacant agricultural land, they must not exist or they're not factored in. But I can guarantee you, there are homes, there are families living there. The options section, part 2, will not be detrimental to the health or general welfare of people living or working in the surrounding area or negatively affect other properties. Will this be monitored going forward? Why is there no mention of approval by the Chief Firearms Officer, as this is effectively an operational change on the range and is a requirement as per the Chief Firearms Office? I want to go to a little bit of what the club or the association is. In a Google review, a person who lives on the other side of Northumberland Road, so that would be Northumberland East, we live in proximity to the range on Miller. Don't have to be next door to hear it. Day to day, sometimes gets drowned out by traffic noise, but today it sounded like a war zone over there. The probably high caliber automatic weapons were disturbing to hear, and I can't imagine how that would affect anyone suffering from PTSD. I don't get the love of guns thing, but tolerate normal boys with toys and racket. Today was anything but normal. You tout yourself as a revolver and pistol range. Today was a major departure from that. Here's hoping there isn't someone curled up in a ball in their basement. Here was the response from the gun club, who was it was written as Winnipeg Revolver and Pistol Association owner. So what you heard was a specific arm of law enforcement training its members. If you'd like, I'll pass along your information to them so that if they're ever called to your place, that they will not bring with them the boys with toys, and be sure they send over only unarmed female members. Then he wrote, then it's written here, be more careful with casually throwing around the terms war zone and PTSD, as many of our members got their marksmanship start with the Canadian Armed Forces and have earned the right to use these terms that you have not. Here's my communication with, I believe it was Peter. I would like to know if you will be implementing noise controls to contain the gunfire in the near future. His response, we try to be conscientious neighbors. However, I'm not sure there's much we'll be able to do for you. We're already surrounded by earth berms, which is not true, as well as owning a large portion of the land around the active ranges in order to set ourselves apart from others. Sound doesn't really work like that. I do understand your plight. I used to live near a set of soccer fields, and the referee's whistles were audible in the house. What I found helped me was changing my mindset to the understanding that sport is important, and that they had a right to partake in their sport, even if it means a bit of inconvenience for me. That is not inconvenience, and that is not a nuisance sound. In closing, due diligence concerning proposals of any kind is expected from elected officials, and that takes time. As discussed above, if not thoroughly vetted, time can create long-standing messy issues like we have today. West St. Paul's dirty little secret. What is the rush to approve this proposal? Why was this meeting not posted on all public forums or even the mailbox posting locations months in advance of this meeting? Why did I have to contact the municipal office less than 2 weeks before to obtain any info on this public meeting? Why did it take two emails to get a response? Why is that proposal months in the making and we get 10 minutes? The past council thought it was fine to string residents along concerning their complaints and continually referring them to the chief firearms officer when they knew the municipalities was responsible for the control of noise, while also being quite aware that they provided the gun range with a never-ending get-out-of-jail card, and telling no one. I have communicated with mayors, councillors on this matter repeatedly. In addition, the chief firearms officer, federal and provincial elected officials, and the ombudsman, and the legal community, who all questioned the municipality's actions and referred me directly back to the municipality's responsibilities to their residents. Council needs to acquire the skill or reach out to those who understand public processes and stop relying on past poor direction, which is evident now, even reaching the auditor. West St. Paul could be a leading community in the province, but will never move forward without being willing to learn from their mistakes. I urge council to do their homework. Check BC Wildlife Federation, Noise Management for Outdoor Shooting Ranges Implementation Manual, the RCMP, Shooting Ranges and Sound, Review of Weapon Noise Measurement and Damage Risk Criteria, Regulation of Noise by Siskins LLP, and a very good, interesting one, Miller Thompson Lawyers, Enviro Notes, Municipal Regulation of Noise Caused by a Long-Established Automobile Racetrack. That did get closed down. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions?
No, just one comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you for that. Like, you had me listening to the whole thing, so it
Thank
was, you know, in the presentations here, it really, it opens your eyes to something different. We're, the ones that don't live close to there, we're thinking noise. But there's been a lot of other things brought up here that I think is our responsibility, okay? There's regulations we can't control, but there is stuff that we can control. And I think, my opinion is, came to us way too premature. We have nothing showing us what they're doing for sound, what they're doing for any of those things. It's a conditional use that was put out there. And with all this stuff that I've read through here on lead contamination, this and that, I don't think there's been any studies, and we can ask for that. We don't have control over what they're shooting, what, you know, hours, that kind of stuff. But we do have controls on safety issues and, you know, lead poisoning, anything that could happen like that. I believe the gentleman that spoke about it was talking about, you know, the lead paint, the lead in the old building, or, you know, the RCMP had to mitigate their own building because of, you know, asbestos and stuff. We've never checked any of this. This is a conditional use, and I think a lot of this has come to us way too premature and unprepared. We don't have enough information on here to know what's going on.
Yes.
Just a comment, and thank you very much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Mayor?
Go ahead, Councilor Platter.
Can I ask the planner a question? Under the current conditional use, can we make changes?
With this application?
Just the regular current conditional use?
Yeah.
Could we do that tonight?
No, it's what is before council tonight that you can only speak to and
okay.
make
All right.
rules on it.
That's what I wanted to know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Council Campbell, straight, right?
Yeah, so just one comment that I'd like to make to the applicant. I think, you know, whether they move forward or not tonight, I think it sounds like it's been a problem for years. One thing that I would, you know, suggest is getting, you know, further sound mitigation for the neighbors. You know, I think probably a lot of the neighbors, you know, I'm not even gonna speak to the lead part, but I think a lot of the neighbors would probably not be in such opposition if there had been over the years, and that's why I'd asked about the berms and stuff like that. You know, it should probably be fully encapsulated with some sort of berm. You know, I know the gentleman that set up the racetrack at St. Andrews, and he got complaints that first time, so he put up hay bales, and then he put up a second set of hay bales. So I think, you know, if you're having complaints, to be a good neighbor. I'm not against the gun club in any way, shape, or form, but I think you know, noise, you do have to be a good neighbor with St. Paul growing and you know, expanding. Obviously, you guys have been there. Yes, I do understand that. You know, I'm not. You know, I wouldn't want to see you guys close. You know, it's nothing like that. I just think if you guys, and you probably have members that are in the construction industry that could come and do that type of work for you, and probably you'd have neighbors that were greatly in favor of any of the work that you guys would get done.
Okay, thank you very much. And that's,
Comment to what the planner.
just go ahead.
Just a question that Councilor Cliver asked. I just want to confirm with the planner. So this, never mind what's here tonight, it is on a conditional use,
Yes,
correct?
yeah, correct.
Through a conditional use, can council, the administration or council not go in there and do inspections on stuff, checking decibel levels, checking, this lead one really gets me. Like, I didn't think of some of those. And we don't have control, I guess, I'm just going by what I believe Peter said. We don't have control over what they're shooting, what, you know, but to hear these automatic weapons going off, there's gotta be regulations to what, or things that have changed over the years, and we don't know those.
So through this application, council can ask for more information and kind of laid it over tonight and ask for more information from the applicant here. So to provide such to council for a review before you make a decision.
But even if we went into review on this one, could we not go into the old one and ask for
No.
But you can't go in there and, is it following regulations? There's gotta be,
You could review it.
the lead regulations,
so-
contamination of soil or water.
So if you look at my presentation, there are two bylaws from the West St. Paul that kind of speaks to the issue of shooting and speaks to issue of sound. And
Sound, and what was the first one, sorry?
no shooting bylaw.
Yeah, but there's.
And the other one is
This came to us too premature. I don't have it.
Change
so
the noise
the other one is noise control bylaw, and these two bylaws kind of exempt the use from these two, so that's the problem.
Okay, just a quick question, Mayor, again. We can rescind the conditional use, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Can I have the next, thank you very much, appreciate your time, your effort.
Yeah, I can give you a transfer.
Thank you very much, appreciate that.
Council can do that.
Mr. Mayor, can.
Yeah.
Maybe here, please?
Okay.
Council can look at
Great. Okay, we're gonna, excuse me, excuse me, Assistant CEO, we'd like to take a 5-minute recess. The council has to take care of an urgent manager.
We have
Urgent matter
emergency situation?
At his house.
Yeah.
That's all right?
Yes?
Yes, okay, 5 minutes, so we'll recess for 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yes. Okay, Councillor Campbell has an emergency.
He's already gone.
Can we have Mayor, could we have Councillor Campbell just speak quickly?
Yeah, no, I'm just going to do,
Oh, okay.
Councillor Campbell has an emergency which he has to deal at home with, and he's gonna speak to it.
So yeah, I do apologize, everybody. I just got a text, apparently my septic is backed up into the house in the basement. So I have to leave, that's why I had to call, just to sort of, if I'm not here for all the talking part of it, I can't vote on it. I wanna be here to vote on it. So I believe we're gonna table it, and I wanna be here to vote to table it, then I have to go.
Yeah.
So that's not, no disrespect to anybody, I know lots of people have come out, but, you know, and I wanna hear it, but I have to leave, unfortunately.
So, and I guess what we wanna do is we wanna table it, but the reason we're tabling it is because we also want to have some further information. There was a lot of points that brought up that we were not aware of, and I guess we would like to have, I'm not sure, okay, Scott, what are you-
I believe we talked about a soil analysis for lead,
Yeah.
that we'd like a soil analysis in the outdoor range for the lead contamination. We talked about decibel levels and a report on decibel levels.
We also talked
And they-
about architect.
Sorry, sir. I'd like to know how high the berms are.
Yes.
We've got numbers all over the place here, so
Yeah.
without being familiar with the area, just more information like that.
And then the architectural noise mitigation attenuation with the new building, we want to see what kind of standards are involved with that.
We need to have more information on the building. Right now, we have a picture of a building, that's all we have, and how long the range is. But we don't have any information on the inside of that building and what kind of noise mitigation and what it will actually do. We want that information before we make a decision.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, so I'm
Go
just
ahead.
gonna make a motion to table this, please.
No, I just gotta ask him one question here, so, cause we have to set a date for this meeting, right? So we're gonna ask the applicant, how long do you need to get all this information? How much time do you need to get this information? Do you need a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months? Like, we wanna make sure that you have the time to do that instead of us tell you the time.
1 month.
1 month? So what's 1 month?
It's the your June 8th regular planning meeting?
Okay, is that adequate enough? June 8th?
But
June 8th?
it-
Go ahead, sorry.
June 8th is just around the corner. It's too close, I think.
Oh, that's, yeah, well, today's 11.
Well, it's May 11th right now.
Yeah.
Is the 11th, is June 8th good, or?
We could do it the end of June.
We're going in July? Okay, July, okay. next planning meeting in July?
Will be July 13th.
July 13th.
13?
July 13th at 6 p.m.
yeah.
Yep, okay, July 13th at 6 p.m. Okay,
Mayor?
so, go ahead, Councilor Piper.
So just for members of the audience, we apologize. We know you came out tonight to talk and to express your concerns, but we're gonna have to ask you to come back just because we've just had this emergency and we have no control over it.
I can't wait any
Yeah.
longer, sorry guys.
So,
I'm in favor of tabling.
pardon me? Okay. So I'll put a motion on the floor to table this application, the conditional use with the conditions that we indicated to the applicant for the July 13th meeting.
Okay,
So motion.
so motion. Can I have a second? Councilor Platon seconds it. Any other concerns? None? Calling for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None? Carried.
See
Okay.
you in 2 months.
Keep the noise down outside.
Yeah. Over.
I didn't realize.
Okay, we're moving to the next item
The
here.
next item is,
You're welcome to stay, but.
See you in July.
Enjoy the night.
Resolution 5.23. Conditional use. No, we're number 6, right? 6.1.
6.1.
Okay. Do I just continue on to, right?
6.1.
So we're gonna carry on to 6.1,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
6.1?
6.1, yes.
Yeah. So this is a resolution. Okay, can we have, thank you very much, appreciate it. Just, so we're just gonna carry on to 6.1 to the next resolution subdivision, S233002, 31 Pipeline Road. Be it resolved that, excuse me, sir, can you, be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of West St. Paul under subsection 125 of the Planning Act approve subdivision application for S23-3002 for the property located at 3105.
Mayor, are you, is there, well, there's no public hearing. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
As for the subdivision existing 5 acres of parcel land into 2.5 acres, lot subject to the following conditions. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Do you want
yeah.
to speak to it?
Yes.
That's okay, thank you.
Subdivision application S23-3002, the address is 3105 Pipeline Road, roll number 416600. The intent is to subdivide an existing parcel, title cities 3179608/1 into 2 proposed lots in the RRO Rural Residential Overlay Zone. This is the subject site that shows the surrounding area. And this is the submitted subdivision application map by the applicant. It shows that 2 lots are being created. In the RRO zoning district, the minimum lot area is 2 acres, and the applicant is proposing 2 lots of 2.5 acres. This is summary of proposed lots. Lots 1 and 2. Just like I said, in the RRO zoning district, the minimum lot area is 2 acres, and the minimum lot width is 198 feet. The applicant is proposing 2.5 acres and 127 feet lot width. RRPD analysis. The subject proposal aligns with the rural residential policies of the Red River Development Plan. There are no concerns from the commenting agencies. Proposed lots are also compatible with the existing lot sizes within the immediate vicinity. See image below. It shows on Pipeline Road, you have lot sizes that are similar to what the applicant is proposing. RRPD is recommending approval subject to 5 conditions. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, anyone got any questions for the plan? Councilor Bichetti?
Just a question. I don't know if I missed it in here. What was the width?
127.
So, I'm just not sure in that area, does that allow for the septic fields then, without
No.
That would be a holding tank.
So does it say in here that they would have to decommission the existing to their home?
Nothing like that, but I think it's clear in the report. If you're not meeting the width, you kind of goes to holding tank.
In previous ones, we've put it in there as a condition that the existing septic field has to be decommissioned. Just to put it point blank in writing, and then it's not a surprise to anybody, so. I just didn't know if I missed it, but I didn't see it in there, so.
We have comments from the agencies, and there's no request for such a condition.
But it doesn't meet the 198-foot width?
Yes.
It's to Councillor Bassetti's point.
Okay.
Under the agency, it says, please note that the proposed
Yeah,
lots
so-
will be restricted to holding tank
Holding
only,
tank, yeah, that's
because the
exactly what I said, yeah.
frontage does not meet the minimum set
It's-
out in the on-site
yeah.
wastewater management system.
It's not a condition, but applicants should know that it's restricted to holding
I
tank.
didn't read all those, I just didn't, I wanted to see it in one of the conditions or somewhere written that
Yeah.
Yep,
it's.
should be in the conditions. Agreed.
I agree, it should be in the conditions, just so someone else doesn't miss it through the other agencies. That's it for me.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions for the planner?
Yeah, I have a question for the planner. Did the applicant have a reason why they were subdividing this land at this time?
No, it's just to have two lots to build a single family home.
Okay, so it's speculation.
Yeah, on the vacant lot.
Okay. And I would also like to see in the conditions that the septic field be decommissioned and that there would be a holding tank installed required for both properties. Each property must have a holding tank.
So the way these conditions work is, these are subdivision conditions. You are saying that the applicant needs to meet all these conditions before this subdivision can take place. And most often than not, these conditions they come right after the subdivision is being approved. So.
Well, we could say no building permit issued unless holding tanks are installed. I don't know, how can we do that?
It's,
Group pen.
We could address that in the development, or what kind of services are required.
Will that development agreement come back to council? So we're gonna have to make a mental note on this one and make sure it's done.
No, you had
I
a,
just
go
got a
ahead.
comment on something. You're saying we can't put it in because it's one of the things that has to happen prior to the subdivision.
yeah,
As soon as we approve the subdivision, it's subdivided, so it's not, okay,
yeah.
then fine, I'm good, as long as it's in there somewhere and it's not a surprise to anybody.
Anyone else have any questions for the planner? None? Okay, call for.
Just a quick question. So with regards to the holding tank issue that was brought up by council colleagues, once this is approved, then the existing, the lot to the north, does it require to have a holding tank immediately?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it doesn't meet the 198
Okay.
Lot width.
Even though there's no building permit on the second lot?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Go ahead, Councilor Clever.
On the recommended conditions of number 7, under 1C, can we make a number 6 that says exactly what Councillor Bassetti and I were talking about? Number 6, to be included in the development agreement, decommissioning of septic field and installation of holding tanks. So then it is under the development agreement, and we're addressing it right up front that it has to get done.
So it comes back to council, to the administration.
Yes,
Yeah.
but at least we have it in the conditions, that
Exactly,
it's gonna
yeah.
be part of that development agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Any other questions? None? Okay,
A mover?
can I have a mover, please?
I'll move it.
Councilor Bichetti moves. Could I have a seconder, please? Councilor, who seconds it?
I'll second it.
Councilor Pactan seconds it. Any other questions on that? Oh, none? Okay, could I call for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All, any opposed? None? Carried. Now we go to, number 7.1. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on April 27th, 2023 be approved. Could I have a mover, please? Councilor Bichetti moves, Councilor Clyber seconds it. Any comments, questions? None? Okay, can I call for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None? Carried. Continue down, now we are on, let's see, 10. We're down to 12.1. Can I?
10.1.
Oh, right, 10.
There's no resolution.
Okay.
Accepting
10.1 is for information?
Yeah, 10.1.
Okay, have anyone seen it? Any questions on it? None? Okay, so we'll carry on. Go down to none. The monthly financial statements, 12. Be it resolved that Council of the Municipality of West St. Paul approve the financial statements for the period ending March 31st, 2023. Can I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Councilor Pakistan moves, Councilor Clyber seconds it. Anyone have any questions on it? Hearing none, can I call for the vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All opposed? None? Carried. Continue on down to 13, the CAO report. Has anyone, everybody read this CAO report? Anyone got it? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Right. Be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul accept the CAO's report as information.
So moved,
So,
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Patacan moves it, Councilor Bichetti seconds it. Any questions, comments?
Question.
Question, you have a question?
No,
Nope.
call for the question. Call for the vote.
Well, I'm gonna say, you made some changes to the report? Yes.
I did.
Yes, so, our acting CAO was, asking me about the report structure, so I guess just take a look at it to see if, you don't have to answer it right now, but just take a look at it. Let's give her some feedback, cause she streamlined it a bit, she saw there was some redundancies, she took out those redundancies. She kept the things that are, what are important, so if there's anything else that you would like to see added to it, then just please let's bring it forward and see if we can bring it to it, so.
Well, I will say this, once we've seen that something's complete, it can be removed for the next meeting. We don't need to see that it's complete again.
Yes, I do try, if I've missed and left something on, let me know, but I do try, once it's complete in the next month, it's removed, yeah.
Okay.
And then, the meeting training dates, it's kind of the way we do ours, so that's new, is it?
It's not the meeting training dates that we have been doing that. The main change you're going to see is that we've taken highlights out of the administration staff.
Yeah.
Summarized them in the department head reports.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay?
Cause she was seeing some duplication in some of the numbers we were getting, so, and it makes sense,
It's a long report, you don't have to read two things twice.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
I appreciate that, so. Okay, so now we'll carry on to the, 14.1. Be it resolved that Council of Rural Municipality of West St. Paul accept the information correspondence for the month of April as information. Can I have a mover, please? Councilor Clyber moves, makes the motion. Councilor Bichetti seconds it. Sorry, I'm getting lost there. Okay, anyone have any questions on this, questions on it?
Nope.
None? None? Okay. Carrying on, can I call for the vote, please?
What number are you on, sorry?
14.1 miscellaneous
14.1.
correspondence.
Okay, yeah.
Good, okay. Can I call for the vote, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Carried. 14.2, Rogers Communication proposed wireless resolution. We received it as information. Do you have any,
We have, I believe the CEO has a motion or resolution
yes?
that we're gonna read and talk about.
That's correct. So if council has read the report, the item asks for a response. So I've drafted a resolution for your consideration as follows. Whereas the rural municipality of West St. Paul passed resolution 2023-190 at a regular meeting of council on April 27th, 2023, to submit opposition to Evolve Surface Strategies Inc., Evolve, concerning the location of a proposed wireless communications installation at 1201 Miller Road. And whereas, by way of email dated May 5th, 2023, Evolve provided the municipality with responses regarding the location, alternate locations, proposed site, and relocation of the proposed site based on the concerns and suggested locations provided in Resolution 2023-190. And whereas Evolve has requested Council's review and direction on whether they would consider providing concurrence for this location once the formal request from Evolve has been made, now therefore be it resolved that the rural municipality of West St. Paul give concurrence for the location of the proposed wireless communication installation at 1201 Miller Road as presented.
Okay.
Well, no,
We're gonna talk about it.
Okay, good.
I wanna discuss that.
Yeah, no, by all
We need
means.
a mover and a second.
I'm not happy with their response at all. They
Okay.
considered absolutely nothing of
Yeah.
what we
Move it,
said.
please,
I'll move it to
Yeah.
put it on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
thank you.
second it.
Okay, Councilor Bichetti moves it, Councilor Pakistan seconds it.
Okay.
Okay, you wanna start?
Yeah,
Councilor Bichetti?
I'm not happy with their response. And I don't think they give any good rebuttal on the relocation. These are not good reasons not to put it there. Lack of natural vegetation. Well, then put some trees up, I don't care, but you know what, just because we said the eastern part of the property, I don't think that these are good enough reasons to cave and say, yeah, that's okay, yeah, all right, we'll just do what you want to do. I think we should go back to them and say, no, we do not concur with this. We gave you a relocation, and we want it relocated. We do not agree with this, we're driving this. They need our concurrence, we're not concurring.
Okay, thank you very
I'm
much.
not concurring anyways.
Councilor Pakistan?
Yeah, I mean, this council put forward a motion regarding that the siting of any cell towers, future cell towers, should be a minimum 1,000 meters away from the nearest residence. So they need to maintain, so our position is to maintain that integrity, and that it should, these cell towers, there's a lot of room in West St. Paul, a lot of other vacant property. If they can't adequately located here at 1201 Miller, then they can look at other locations that are away from residences. So, yeah, I mean, their response back, I totally agree with Councillor Clyburn. It was a poor response. It didn't even take into consideration our suggestions and our feedback. You know, so it's yeah, I'm not supporting this position. And I want to reiterate the fact that they should be finding a location that's 1,000 meters away from the closest residence, or located somewhere on the property that's away from the Lewigs for what's the address, sorry? What's
1201.
No, your address.
1377.
Yeah, away from
Yeah.
1377 Miller Road. So,
Councilor Bichetti?
I'm gonna agree with my fellow councilors. It's these conditions that, or these reasons they didn't wanna change it. You know, it's in the St. Andrews right away, or flight zone, lack of vegetation, so they could plant some trees, no existing access to the property, build a driveway.
Yeah.
So there's conditions that don't let it move from there. Well, there's other property that they can put it to, so it obviously doesn't fit there. If they're using conditions like that besides the airport, the rest of them are all in their control with vegetation, driveway, and other residents in the area, so move it somewhere else that it does fit them.
Councilor Clyburn?
Yeah, and interestingly enough, we just saw and looked at this property, because it's the gun range, right?
Mhm.
And we saw how much farmland they had in the east. So where are the additional residents to the east they're talking about. There's no additional residents to the east until you go over the highway.
Yeah.
So that's not even a reason. And they're abutting the St. Andrews Airport outer limits. So it's not like it's in the limits of the airport, it's abutting the outer limits. Great, well, we're out of the limits.
Yeah.
Fine, good. I think we stick with the plan.
Okay?
Yeah.
Any other ones? Okay. So yeah, I don't have anything else to say. You guys have said it all, so we'll call for the question, or the vote. All in favor?
Is it nay or is it?
It's a nay.
Okay.
It's,
Or
Yeah,
opposed.
because it's written in the affirmative.
It's written affirmative, so.
So we're.
So we gotta start off with all opposed?
No, you.
No, all in favor.
All in favor?
You still say all in favor.
All in
Okay,
favor?
all in favor?
Nay.
Nay.
Oh, sorry.
All opposed?
All opposed?
All
Oh,
opposed.
sorry, all opposed.
I'm
Nay,
opposed.
nay opposed.
All opposed.
That's what he said, I don't know why I wanted to do a
Remember the
proposed
first
resolution,
Gets you.
because you can change the resolution to be, we don't accept it, right?
Okay, so now we're,
It's
okay,
confusing, okay. Down to 15
yep. So now we're 15.1.
Yeah.
Be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul authorize attendance to the following meetings. You have the list down there, April 15th, Dashmere School, I should say. Councilor Campbell, sorry.
Mayor, I'm gonna remove my name from Dashmesh School. I was under the impression we were all going to be putting an indemnity in for that, and I've talked to some fellow councilors who've said it, feel it's a community thing, so I would like my name removed from that. I will not charge him for that.
Okay.
I can just add that,
Go ahead.
while I'm sure Councillor Campbell would echo those comments, he's not here. So I would suggest council leave that, and we will speak to him privately whether he chooses to accept the indemnity for that event or not, okay?
So are you saying you want to move this?
We would leave Councillor Campbell's name, because he isn't
Yeah.
able to speak to it.
But for myself, I want.
And we'll speak to him privately, about what the consensus amongst the four of you are,
Okay,
okay?
But I would like my name removed.
yep, okay, that's right. So it's just Dashmere School, Councilor Campbell. April 19th, public hearing, financial planning preparation, which is the Mayor Turgeon, and April 25th, Manitoba Medical First Responders Workshop, which is Mayor Turgeon. All in, got any questions? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, go
A
ahead.
mover and a seconder first.
Oh,
I so move.
okay. Councilor Clyburn moves. Can I have second? Councilor Bichetti
I'll
seconds it.
second it, but with the possibility of it changing as this CEO asks.
No, we
for.
wouldn't change it after, but
Okay.
I will have the conversation with Councillor Campbell and follow through in paying the indemnity
Okay.
as to what
Okay.
your concurrence has been.
Okay,
Thanks for clarifying.
yep, okay. Any other comments? No? Okay, could I have a call for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None. Carried. Okay, 15.2, assignment of streets names. Be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul assign the names as listed below to the RM of West St. Paul, street name list for streets within the RM of West St. Paul per assignment of municipal street names policies admin 02-2003. We have the list of names that are there. Can I have a mover for this, please? All in.
I'll move it.
Councilor Pat Cam moves, Councilor Bichetti seconds it. Any comments, questions regarding this list?
No, it's good. I think developers have an opportunity to select from those lists, and I was just driving around Parkview Point the other day, and I noticed that Lewin Lane was, I guess, a veteran. And so they, there's that blue sign
Yeah.
in Parkview Point that has the Lewin Lane. It's great. Good to see it being utilized.
Okay. All, okay, any other questions? None? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None? Carried. Now we carry down to
Camera.
16.1, we're gonna go, or 18.1, we're gonna go into camera. Be it resolved that in accordance with the section 152 of the Municipal Act, Council does now move in camera to discuss matters that are in preliminary stages and respecting with discussions in public could prejudice municipalities' ability to carry out the activities or negotiations. Be it further resolved that in accordance with section 83, 1D of the Municipal Act, all issues that are discussed are kept confidential until discussed at a regular council meeting. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
So Councilor Kleiber moves, Councilor Bichetti seconds it. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, can I call for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None? Okay, so now we are in camera. Okay, so our rising report is that we had an update on our current collective agreement negotiations, update on our bylaw enforcement, and update on our daycare, child daycare. There's also 2 resolutions that we will be presenting, and one of them is to be resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul direct administration to commence drafting a memorandum of understanding for the extensions of potable water infrastructure on Holmes Road. And further that, administration present the drafted memorandum of understanding for council's consideration as a future meeting, at a future meeting. Could I have a mover for this, please? Councilor Bichetti moves. Could I have a seconder? Councilor Backlund seconds. Has any discussions? Comments?
Nope.
Hearing none, can call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None? Carried. Next one is resolutions for 3rd Street. Be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul direct administration to commence drafting a memorandum of understanding for the extension of potable water infrastructure on 3rd Street. And further that administration presents the drafted memorandum of understanding for council's consideration at a future meeting. Could I have a mover for that? Councilor Bichetti moves, Councilor seconder, Councilor Kleiber seconds.
Can I have a recorded vote, please?
Okay. You want a discussion on this, on anything, or? None? Okay. Okay, can I call for the vote then on this, please? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? None.
Defeated. Typo's defeated.
Yep, defeated. Okay, so now be it resolved that this meeting, you ready? Can I?
Hmm?
You got it, okay. Be it resolved that this meeting of council stand adjourned at 8:42 p.m.
And mover?
Can I have a mover, please? Councilor Kleiber move.
I'll second.
Councilor Bichetti seconds it. Can I call for the vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.